Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Off-Farm Income Podcast. Hey, thank you so much for joining us here on our YouTube channel for episode number 1069, everybody. Well, hey, today we're taking you to the foothills of the Sierra Nevada in Central California. We're going to be speaking with Cameron Shelton. She is coming on to talk about raising goats and going to Monache High School in Porterville, California. And such an interesting story about how she and her sister have partnered up and they now own some goats all throughout the entire country. She's on the West Coast there in California. Her sister's down in Texas, and they even own a goat as far away as Delaware. Very interesting story about how she's getting involved and where she wants to take all this. And I'm really eager to profile this exciting beginning of this FFA journey for Cameron Shelton. We're going to get that started for you right now. Cameron, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank you for having me.
Hey, it is my pleasure. I'm excited to speak to you. I always get excited when I get to interview students or any guests really from the San Joaquin Valley of California, because that's where I grew up. And I grew up a bit north of you, up just north of Modesto, but I've got a lot of family in Fresno County and some family that are still farming right there. And then I've got family that have moved down to Visalia, pretty close to you. And so it's always fun to hear about what students in the Valley are doing. So I really appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you.
Hey, you bet. Well, let's do this. So you said off the air before we were getting prepped, you said that you had just got home from school. So right now you're sitting at your house.
I'm actually at my mom's store right now.
Oh, okay. All right. So it's your mom's store. And then when you get home from there, when you're at home, are you on a farm? Are you in town? Something in the middle of those two? Tell us a little bit about where you live and what that's like.
Okay, I live up in actually Springville, which we are around mountains. And it's kind of a hard area for us. We went from about 30 acres down to 2 acres. And I run 15 head of goats, wethers, each season. And so we're just lucky enough to be able to keep them in the barn at night and then throw them up on the hill during the day and dry lot them.
Okay. Very interesting. And so, and if I remember right, I think I've been through Porterville before, but is Porterville right on the base of the foothills or kind of up in the foothills a little bit? And then does that mean you're further up into the foothills where you live?
We are on the base of the foothills, but you just drive up 20 minutes and we're kind of up in our town.
Okay. Got it. All right. And so you said you're at your mom's store. What's your mom's store like? What's the name of it and what does she sell?
My mom's store is Evans Feed, Livestock and Supply. We have from Western attire to show supplies along with the food for horses, cows, dogs, anything you would think of.
Awesome. Yeah. It's kind of my favorite kind of store right there. You can get your clothes, everything you need for the farm, and you don't have to go anywhere else, essentially.
Yeah.
Very cool. So now how long has this store been in your family? Did your mom start it or what's the history there?
Well, my mom she has managed it for 25 years now. It started up in Madera with the Evans family.
Okay.
And it has gone through our family for the 25 years that she's been working here and managing it. But before her, she worked as just one of the employees, and we had a manager before her, but he retired a couple years back.
Gotcha. Okay, so I should have clarified. So then this is not the store that your mom owns. It's a store that your mom manages, but you refer to it as mom's store.
Yes, I do.
Okay, that makes total sense now. Okay, I got it. Very interesting. So she worked her way up. She manages that store. And I don't know, so you're 14. Are you working yet, or do you have plans to work there in the future or anything like that?
I do not work here yet. I just work, help her after school. But I am moving to Texas or Colorado after high school, so I don't think I have any plans of working here.
Oh, okay. All right. Very cool. So you've kind of already got your eye on where you're going. That is great. We'll kind of loop back around to that. So let's talk about your time in the FFA. Is this your very first year?
This is my first year, but this is also my 6th year in 4-H.
Oh, okay. Very good. So As a freshman, you're still eligible to do 4-H and now FFA as well, and you are doing both at the same time.
Yes.
Okay. And it's interesting. You said you just got done with school. Have you been back in school for a while? Did you ever get shut down?
We actually were not able to go back to school until after our spring break,
Okay.
which was March 12th, I believe.
Okay. So you've just barely been back just for a few weeks.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you're back. I'm sure it feels like a relief to be back.
It does.
Okay. Okay. So you've been doing 4-H for many, many years, and now the FFA and 4-H at the same time. Do you show goats at the fair? Do you do some other projects? Tell us about what you've been doing all this time in the 4-H.
Okay, I started off with a year of doing chickens,
Okay.
and then I showed my sister raised goats when she was in 4-H and FFA. So we just took a couple of years off to let me decide what animals I wanted to show. So I chose chickens, and then we moved up to goats, and I've been showing goats ever since.
Okay. Very cool. And so it sounds like you
I
have. Oh, go ahead. Sorry, Cameron.
I also have jackpot wethers, and I
Okay.
have my fair wethers.
Okay. Very good. Very good. So you have an older sister who kind of led the way for you into the FFA. Is that right?
Yes,
Okay. Is she still in high school and in the FFA, or she graduated?
she graduated.
Okay. Very cool. So here you are. You're doing both. So do you normally? I know you're doing the jackpots, but at the fair, do you normally sell goats at the fair after you've shown them?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
This is my second year doing hogs as well, but
Oh,
last year
okay.
we didn't get to sell mine.
Okay. So it's always so interesting at our fair where I'm at, and I'm in Idaho. The students who are doing both 4-H and FFA, who they're kind of having that overlap, they will change clothes really quick and they'll show again, and so they'll show more. And I can't remember if you can sell more if you do both clubs at the same time. How does it work at your fair?
Um, I have to nominate either a goat or a pig for the online sale that we're doing right now just because of COVID restrictions
Uh
and
huh.
everything. But I have actually nominated my pig for the online sale.
Okay.
But it's just you have to figure out what you want to do, and if you get grand champion or reserve, you have to sell that animal.
Gotcha. Okay. Very cool. So you went with the pig.
Yes, I did.
Pigs have personality, but not quite like goats. Goats almost become pets sometimes.
Yes, some of them do.
All right. So, Cameron, let's do this. I'd love to acknowledge your FFA advisors. How many do you have there at Monache High School?
I actually have 4 different ones. It is Miss Spalding, Miss Bennett, Mr. Roach, and Mr. Corbett.
Awesome. Thank you so very much for mentioning them. Really appreciate everything our ag teachers and FFA advisors do. We're going to take a quick break and we're going to talk about one of our sponsors, Powder River Livestock Handling Equipment. We'll be right back, okay?
Okay.
I understand as we're talking off the air that you've got a bit of experience with Powder River Livestock Handling Equipment yourself. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
All right. Well, at my mom's store, we have Powder River gates and panels, and we go from either a 6-footer to a 8-footer, and we also get squeeze chutes in, and I think it's a wonderful brand.
Well, thank you for saying that. And yeah, I grew up in the same valley as you, that big, long San Joaquin Valley, and I'm very familiar with Powder River from my time being a kid and all the feed stores. Everybody sells Powder River in California. It's all over the place. So I'm assuming you see a lot of that come and go out of this store.
Yes, we do.
Very good. All right. So now I want to talk to you about your supervised agricultural experience. And you've kind of described it a little bit for us, but I'm interested in a couple aspects of it. So do I understand correctly and did you say it was 14 wethers that you have right now? Do I understand correctly? Is that the extent of it?
I have 15 wethers,
Okay.
and also I am partnered with my sister on many does across the country.
Oh, interesting. Okay. I want to come back around to that. Okay. So 15 wethers. So does that mean that you purchased these goats from some other farm and brought them home? Were these born at your place and you banded them and kept them as wethers? Explain to me why you have these 15 wethers.
I buy from different farms that have seen my success in the past,
Okay.
and they are honored to have me show them
Oh, cool.
to where I pay for them and then I show them until we need to get rid of them.
Got it. Okay. And then you were describing your operation earlier, which man, it takes me back. So you're actually pinning up your goats in the barn every night, and then you let them out in the morning to go out and feed.
They get fed in the barn,
Okay.
and then they go up on our hill to get dry loaded during the day. And once I come back from either school or from my mom's work, we have our track dog out there just running them up and down the hill.
Okay. Interesting. I mean, because I'm familiar with where you're at. The foothills of the Sierra Nevada there in California are constantly in fire danger. From about, well, for you, almost this time of year through, I don't know, October or November. But if you've got goats up there every day, I'm assuming around your place is pretty cleaned off.
Where we have them up on the hill, it is actually really cleaned off. They do a great job, and we have cattle on the backside of our property too.
Oh, you do? Okay, very interesting. All right, well, I can definitely picture it. And, it's funny, when I was a kid, by about now or maybe June, everything in the foothills turned yellow. All that green grass that we had all winter, it all dried out and all got yellow. And I always just was like, man, I wish it was just these green rolling hills like the Central Valley of California is supposed to be Ireland or something like that. But now, as I'm sitting there and I'm picturing your place, definitely tugs on my heartstrings. I miss it. I miss how it looks in the summer and how it smells and the ragweed and all of that. I can see it in my mind here, Cameron, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. So you said that you and your sister own, is it shares in different does around the country? Explain to us how that works.
We are partnered on multiple does from here in California, in Texas, and in Delaware.
Okay, man, all the way to Delaware. My goodness. How did this happen?
My sister used to show before me, and she has recently moved to Texas, so she's been working for a few people and she goes to state fairs, and she just meets all these different breeders, and we have now partnered up with them, and I go back to Texas and go up to Nebraska sometimes to go show for national ABGA shows and JABGA shows.
Okay. Okay. What do those acronyms stand for?
The ABGA stands for American Boar Goat Association, and then JABGA means Junior American Boar Goat Association.
Okay. And so now, are you keeping and raising exclusively boar goats there at your place, or are you just involved in the boar goat breed in these different partnerships you're involved in?
I raise only boar goats.
Only boar goats. Okay. All right. Now, explain how this works. So you and your sister, do you own these does in these other parts of the countries, or do you own a share of that doe?
We lease them out,
Okay.
and we get our insurance on them, and I show them, and then once they're time to go back and get bred, we take them back to the breeder's place and they get bred.
That's really interesting. How did you get, this is new to me, so I want you to educate me. How did you get involved in this, and how did you find out that you could do it this way?
My sister used to work for a breeder here in Porterville. She just moved up to Modesto a couple years ago.
Okay.
And she used to work for her from 5th grade until high school.
Mm-hmm.
And she had started her own herd at our old house. And she had just started showing for California and going for jackpots with these goats.
Okay.
And she moved her herd out to Texas, and had sold me that if I didn't want to show goats at such a young age, I didn't have to. So that's where we kind of got started with the chicken,
Okay.
chicken showing, and then they had all the Newcastle disease for chickens. So we're like, let's just switch over to goats. We don't know when the chickens are going to start up again, and we have enough time to show goats until you're out of high school.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I want to make sure that I'm understanding this correctly. So with these goats that you own, like let's talk about the one that's in Delaware, because your sister lives in Texas. She's not in Delaware, but you and your sister own a doe that's in Delaware. Do I understand that part correct?
Yes.
Okay. So did you and your sister purchase this doe from the breeder, but then leave it with the breeder to go out and to be shown and then to be bred back there at their facility? Is that how it worked?
It worked out as she went to Delaware State Fair because she works for Museum Tours. So they just go to state fairs all across the U.S. and she teaches the public about the livestock industry.
And
So
who is
she met
she? Who is she when you're saying she?
my sister.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Okay, go ahead.
You're good. She started talking to all these breeders at shows,
Okay.
and she just decided that we could get a doe from Delaware, put it in Texas for a couple months while I show it there, and then send her back to Delaware.
Okay. Okay. I think I'm getting a clearer picture now. Why do you send the doe back to Delaware?
So she is a paper doe, so she can get bred for full bloods.
Okay. All right. So it's about the breeding and the genetics and then the lineage, I guess the paperwork and the registration.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, that is really interesting. And I've worked so much in the cattle industry. I own goats, but I've never been anywhere around the registered goat world. In the cattle industry, you see at sales, people will buy a quarter of a bull or a quarter of a heifer or an eighth or a 16th or something like that, and they own a share. And when you said that, my mind automatically went to that, but I think I'm seeing this clear. So that is very, very interesting. Okay, so now you talked about the fact that you've already got your eyes on going to college in Texas, and then what was the other state?
Or Colorado.
Or Colorado. Okay. So what are you you are early in the game on this, but good for you for thinking so far ahead. What do you have in mind? How have you already selected either Texas or Colorado? What appeals to you about those two places?
I wanted to be a veterinarian since I was little. I've
Okay.
always been interested in veterinarian science, and I just want to stay within the ag industry
Mm-hmm.
to where I can either help out the bigger animals or just be a vet tech or do something within the ag culture.
Okay. And so how did that lead you to Texas and Colorado?
Texas, I either want to go to Texas A&M or Carleton State
Okay.
because I've heard good words about Carleton and Texas A&M. They have really good veterinarian programs. And then Colorado State is one of the best. My dad goes to Colorado each and every summer, and he said that they have a good veterinarian program there
Sure.
too.
Sure. Awesome. Good for you. Okay, so I'm going to throw in my 2 cents, and you should probably forget about it, within the next 4 years. So I've never been to College Station. I've been close, but I've never been to College Station, Texas. But I have been to Stevensville, where Tarleton State is located, and Stevensville is always on like my top 3 places I would want to move to in Texas. Absolutely love it. Have you been there yet?
My sister actually lives in the outskirts of Stephenville.
Oh my goodness, man. So you've been there to visit her?
Yes, I have.
Okay, man. I always say Stevensville, but Stephenville. I love it there. I love that town. Love that place. And then anytime I get the chance, I brag about this place, and I get no money for this, but I always do anyway. There's a barbecue place in Stephenville called the Heart Eight. Oh, I love that place. I don't know if you've ever eaten there.
That,
Have you gone there?
that one is our go-to every time we go to Texas. That's our go-to.
Oh yeah. Gosh, that place is amazing. I love that place. I got to get down to Texas. Maybe I'll just fly down there this weekend. Yeah, I miss it down there. I really do like Stephenville a lot. That's one of my favorite spots. So that's my vote, but that means nothing because it has nothing to do. I know nothing about the vet school there. So you just want to throw that advice right out the window. But anyway, I had to throw that in. That is exciting, Cameron. That is really cool that you got your eyes set on that. So, I mean, you're just finishing up your freshman year of high school. Have you been able, can you select classes through the FFA or through your high school or anything like that that'll kind of help propel you into that pre-vet and then later that veterinary school world once you're done with high school?
I do. You go from ag, earth and science to ag biology, and you can either go into the ornamental horticulture, ag bio, or the um, vet science,
Okay.
ag bio, and I'm sticking with the vet science the whole time.
Vet science. Okay. And then will you, as you get up like into your junior and your senior year, will you be able to take any college courses like for dual credit that can kind of help you along that path?
I believe so, yes.
That's great. Man, that's exciting. I'm very, very excited for you. And man, now all I can think about is the Heart Aid barbecue in Stephenville. But that's okay. They barbecue and like smoke these shrimp wrapped in bacon. It's incredible. Anyway, enough of that. Cameron, this has been a lot of fun. It has been absolutely my pleasure to speak with you. Thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank you for having me.
Hey, thank you for being here, everybody. And thank you again to Cameron Shelton for joining us here on the Off Farm Income Podcast. We would love it if you would click that subscribe button down below and become a subscriber here on our YouTube channel. And hey, we'd love to connect with you on social media as well. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn, everybody. And until next time, enjoy your journey to the ultimate lifestyle business, agriculture.